What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. I'd like to begin this video by giving a huge shout out to TCG Player for the opportunity to be a part of their affiliate program. If you want to help a content creator out, all you have to do is click on the TCG Player link down below, and it won't cost you anything either. I tried my hardest to get you guys a match, but unfortunately I was only able to get a single. That said, it was a really good single that I thought showcased a lot of the ideas that I had, and you'll see that we have a Cyberdark Impact along with the Masked Dragon in our hand, and then the rest is just Prisma with Armageddon Knight / Dark Grepher targets, along with the Solemn, but we're going to set the Masked Dragon. Our opponent will normal summon the Goblin Zombie, try to attack over the Masked Dragon, but it has 1100 defense. They'll set the MST, we'll then top deck the Gores, as we're going to normal summon the Prisma, use the effect of Prisma revealing the Cyberdark Dragon. We'll send the Cyberdark Edge since it's the only one that we play duplicates of, and you never want to send one of your one-ofs just because you could top deck into Future Fusion. Prisma to attack over the Goblin Zombie. They'll then be able to add the Mizuki as we're going to pass on to their turn. We're going to play for the Gores, which is why we don't set the Solemn, but we're going to watch our opponent use the Zombie Master that they normal summoned, revive the Plague Spreader that they pitched for its effect, as they'll then be able to activate the Foolish, use the effect of Mali that they send off the graveyard. Then we'll be able to watch them go into a Synchro 8 as they're going to go into the Dark End Dragon. They're then going to use the Dark End Dragon in order to get rid of the Masked Dragon so that they can avoid having it special summon out whatever I would want to special summon out, which I think is something really funny about this deck. A lot of people fear what Masked Dragon can special summon out. The only thing that you want with Masked Dragon is to get a dragon level 3 or lower to the graveyard, and specifically you would prefer it in the graveyard because of its 1400 attack, and what it would summon out, it has a lower attack. Get our Prisma ran over, our opponent will then attack with Zombie Master. We're going to special summon out the Gores, special summon out the token. Our opponent will then use the Plague Spreader in the graveyard, which means that they'll have to go into the Brio in order to get over our Gores, and this is pretty nice just because it means that we'll get the Gores in hand. They'll have to pitch a card, which even though it's a Mizuki, it just keeps them on one card less, as they're then going to go onto our turn. We're going to get the Black Salvo as we're going to normal summon it, and this was a great top deck. If you've ever watched any Edison Cyberdark content, or even played against it or whatever, then you'll know that Black Salvo can revive a level 4 Dark Machine type monster from your graveyard, and that's exactly what our Cyberdarks are, and this gives us access into something like Black Rose, which also happens to be a dragon, and I just think that's really cool. But we're going to end up blowing up the entire field, as we're then going to end up setting the Solemn Judgment, pass on that, as our opponent is going to normal summon the Stratos, and I believe that they were only on the Mallies as they are on zombies, so that's why I think that they didn't search, but they're going to attack for 1800, top decking a Dark Grepher, and this was a really good top deck, because now it means that we can send our Gardna to the graveyard. We'll then be able to get another name into the graveyard, which is what we're trying to set up with the Cyberdark Impact in hand, and from here our opponent will top deck a Book of Life, which we are going to end up hitting with the Solemn Judgment so that they can turn the tables on us and just make a big board that we can't overcome. After some lag, we're going to end up using the Necro Gardna. We do top deck a Mind Control, which was really nice. We'll use the effect of Grepher pitching the Plague in order to send the Keel, and now we'll be able to use the Cyberdark Impact, which will give us the Cyberdark Dragon, and this is just something really cool that the deck can do. Keep in mind it's not something super common since we only play the one Cyberdark Impact, but that said, we'll be able to equip the Black Rose Dragon to it, and another really cool thing about this is that because the Black Salvo gives us such easy access into either Ancient Fairy Dragon or the Black Rose Dragon, you can get a pretty high attack dragon into the graveyard, activate the Mind Control, steal the Stratos, bring back the Plague Spreader, and I probably should have Plague Spreaded first just to save the Mind Control if they did have Crow, but not a lot of people are on Crow. That said, we're going to go into the battle phase, attack with Grepher. Now the only thing that they can have is Gores or Trag, and unfortunately they do have the Gores, so they'll be able to special summon out the token, which we will destroy, and now the game is going to get turned on its head again as our opponent top decks Diva. So from here they're going to normal summon the Diva, special summon out another copy of Diva. They'll then be able to use the effect of Mizuki, get the Goblin Zombie back on field as they'll go into a copy of Gaia Knight. They are going into the Gaia Knight just so that they can get a copy of Spirit Reaper, then go into a level 8 Synchro with, go into the Colossal Warrior, and at this point they're just stalling because they know they don't have anything that can get over our Cyberdark Dragon, and from here they're going to attack over the Dark Grepher with Gores, inflict 1k. From here they'll then gain attack points with the Colossal Warrior as they're going to attack over the Goyo, and from here we'll take a few more 100 damage of life points as they're going to gain more attack, and at this point we're going to top deck the Gores that we put back via Plague Spreader. We'll then attack over the Gores, and this will even out the playing field a little bit as we're going to be be on one monster each, our opponent will end up setting the Spirit Reaper, and now because we kind of just know that they have the Reaper and the Colossal, we're going to pass turn, but we do top deck the Cyberdark Edge, so now we kind of have a way to put pressure on them, but we don't have enough setup to really make it matter yet. But then my opponent top decks the Wing Blast, and this is crazy because now they have an out to our fusion, but we top deck a Compulsory, which is just great on our end, because it means that we don't die to the Colossal Warrior, and Spirit Reaper unfortunately only has 300 attack. Now our opponent is going to play it super passively here, as they're just going to attack with the Colossal Warrior, and we're going to end up hitting them with the Compulse, putting it back, surviving for another turn. Now we'll get the Deep Prison, which kind of clinches our victory here, I believe, as we're going to get the Cyberdark Edge in order to equip the Masked Dragon, make it 2200 attack so that we can keep on attacking directly and avoid the Spirit Reaper altogether, as now we're both on 500 life points and Brain Control will now be dead for both of us. Our opponent will top deck a Dead Dust Shoot, which is great for us, but then going to normal summon the Diva. They don't have any more targets apparently, as they don't use its effect. They're then going to go into the Catastor, and at this point it didn't matter if they went into Catastor or Magical Android, because if they chose to attack, they would get hit by the Deep Prison, and if they chose to not attack, then it would mean that we would just attack with the Cyberdark Edge. Even if they tried to bluff the Trap Dust Shoot, I probably would have done it anyways, because it puts them on having it or not. But unfortunately, the game ended prematurely because of lag. With the replay out of the way, we can get onto the deck profile, and the really cool thing about this is that you're not playing a lot of machine monsters, even though it is a Cyberdark deck. So while your opponent may try to side something like Cyber Dragon against you, it's not really going to be all that effective at times, because what you really are just playing is your Dark Warrior stuff with an Elemental Hero engine. So you have outs to stuff like Consecrated Light via the Masked Dragon, the Prisma, the Stratos, and stuff like that, which I think is really cool. But then I would also like to talk about my decision on not running a water monster for Absolute Zero, and the reasoning for that is because a lot of your bad hands are really when you open your dragon stuff, but then there's also bad hands where you may have like a lot of traps and then like a Black Salvo that you can't normal summon, and because of that, some of the games can feel like super sacky. Either your opponent will brick and then both of you are kind of grinding until the first person gets way to play. There could be games where you do get that one combo piece, where you do get that one piece of setup in order to normal summon the Black Salvo or whatever, and your opponent may or may not have a response and things like that. So it's little things like that. Then there's also the Mind Control and the Brain Control, which are also really powerful. I also would like to go back to the not running a water monster thing, because I think I kind of ran over by that. The point is, there's a lot of cards that aren't really that great in the hand, and you don't want another card adding onto that with one of your water monsters, even if it is a Snowman Eater or whatever. I just don't think it's worth it, because your Mind Control can steal Raikos, you can synchro away with opponent's monsters because you play a few tuners in this deck. They're actually easy to get via stuff like the Mystic Tomato, Songon, your Armageddon Knight, or your Dark Refer. You just have a lot of ways to stay in the game regardless with your trap cards, as we do play a pretty big lineup with 10 traps. Then finally, I would like to go over some of the extra deck stuff. The Dark Blade the Dragon Knight is here because we reveal it for Prisma, so that we can send a Pitch Dark Dragon, and that's what the Dragon engine is kind of here for. We do need level 3 or lower dragons in order to our Cyberdarks in field, and having a small compact engine that we can use just to float and the Pitch Dark Dragon, which you don't even need to special summon out of Masked Dragon, you can just send it off the Prisma so that you can set yourself up for a Cyberdark play earlier. I just think is more important in my opinion. This last card, the Limiter Removal here, a last slot in the extra deck that I wasn't sure of what I wanted to play. There's probably something else that is better than it, but you'll notice that I didn't want to go too heavy on machine cards in this deck just because we are only on 7 machines. With all of that out of the way, I'll get onto the card by card, and we have the 1 copy of Gores, the 2 copy of Caius, 1 copy of Cyberdark Impact, the 1 copy of Keel, the 1 copy of Cyberdark Horn, the 3 copies of Cyberdark Edge, the 1 Future Fusion, which I would like to point out, you can send all 3 names with Future Fusion and then activate your Cyberdark Impact. One thing that you have to be careful with is that when you don't have any of your Cyberdark stuff, what you'll want to do is use your Prisma to get your edges out of the graveyard so that you can at least have one of each name in case you end up drawing the Future Fusion. Instead, if you can turbo out all your names, then it really doesn't matter because at that point it just becomes draw either Cyberdark Impact or Future Fusion, and at that point if you're turboing out your names, it's because you have Black Salvo. You then have the one copy of Stratos, the one copy of Prisma, we then have the one copy of Brain Control, the one copy of Mind Control, the one copy of Reinforcement of the Army, Foolish Burial, Dark Arm Dragon, the one copy of Pitch Dark, copies of Mass Dragon, the two copies of Black Salvo, copy of Necrogardna, the one copy of Plague Spreader, Ungon, Mystic Tomato, the one copy of Armageddon Knight, and the one copy of Dark Grepher, and these technically could be more copies of Armageddon Knight or Dark Grepher, or you could even replace other stuff to play more copies of them, but I just don't think it's necessary because the Prisma can foolish your Cyberdarks, and then your Armageddon and your Grepher can run whatever else you need to send to the graveyard, whether it be your Plague or your Necrogardna, or even your Pitch Dark Dragon, which I do sometimes just to get that dragon to the graveyard, and then you can also send one of your Cyberdark names if you need to. We do have the one copy of Heavy Storm, the one copy of Mystical Space Typhoon, Raigeki Break, Solemn Judgment, Trap Dust Shoot, the one copy of Call, Compulse, Bottomless, Tribute, the two copies of Dimensional Prison. We then have the one copy of Mirror Force, Trag, the two copies of Cyber Dragon, the two copies of Crow, the two copies of Soul Release, the one copy of Limiter Removal, the one Burial, the one Giant Trunade, the one Starlight Road, the two Trap Stun, and the two Light Imprisoning Mirror to round out the side deck. Then onto the extra deck, we have the two Cyber Dark Dragons, the two Chimera Techs, and Dragon Knight. We then have the Mistworm, Dark End Dragon, the one copy of Stardust, Ancient Fairy Dragon, just as another level 7 for Black Salvo, Black Rose Dragon, Goyo, we then have Brionic, and then we do play the Iron Chain Dragon, important because it's a level 6 that happens to be a dragon monster, so if you do go into it with something like Armageddon Knight or Dark Grepher, along with Plague, that is something very important to note. It can get over Stardust, which is really annoying for this deck. A lot of your kickback plays may revolve through Black Rose Dragon, and when you can't destroy stuff, then your kickback may not be as strong, and having the Iron Chain Dragon in order to crash into Stardust can be really important, especially to play around the Stardust that come off of Starlight Roads and stuff like that. But then we have the one Magical Android and the one Catastor to round out the deck profile. So for everyone who's made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching and for the 700 plus subscribers. I truly appreciate your support, and now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below, and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.